Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista and we're gonna head outside quickly because I want to show you guys, I checked yesterday and it's pretty cool, but I want to show you guys how I guess we're gonna call them kind of makeshift little greenhouses, hoop houses are doing. I checked them yesterday and the lettuce is doing amazing in there. And I mean, we have been getting some pretty cold nights, like low 20s. So it is actually doing really, really good. So this is what they look like out here. Now you can see that there's a little bit of moisture in there. I'm almost hesitant to open them up right now because I don't want to let the cold air in. Look at what finally died. The Swiss chard finally took a hit, but look at, there's actually some new leaves coming up. Yeah, that's, I guess 20 is, it's reached its max. So you can see all of the condensation on all of these, and like even my spinach, like, I mean, we were getting cold nights. Some of it did okay, but you can see, and this is one of the cool things. I'll show you guys. Okay, so we're gonna open it up. This is my cilantro bed. I kind of wanted to harvest some today, but look at, it is all doing great in here. Perfect. I'm actually not gonna harvest any, but look at, there's even like icicles. There's ice on the outside of it. And these things are keeping these warm. Believe how cold it is right now. But I don't know if you can see in there, but the lettuce is doing good. I really don't want to open anymore because I think it's like 30s, not even 30 right now. It's freezing out right now. And I don't know if you can tell, but the sky is really overcast. And I worry that if I open that up, that I'm going to let that cold air in. I probably shouldn't have done that with cilantro, but anyways, we harvested all of our kohlrabies, so those are all gone. But yeah, all of the lettuce is looking fantastic. The lettuce that is along the edge is not doing the best because it is exposed to that cold stuff, but this is working magnificent. All my peas died. Yeah, it's just cold. So we are going to head back in because I can't feel my fingers. I am not a fan at all of cold weather. Like, I really can't handle it. But I harvested a little bit of lettuce a couple of days ago, so we really don't need to get any more lettuce. Let's go. Oh, the other thing I do want to show you guys really quickly before I get frostbite on my fingers. Look at how amazing the thyme and the rosemary do in this weather. Like, the thyme isn't even phased by this cold weather. Same with the rosemary. Oregano seems to be kicking pretty good too. Sage, it's struggling a little bit. The other herb that really doesn't mind cold weather is the parsley. That one is doing good. My peppermint sage, or my pineapple sage, finally died. You can see there all of the leaves are dead. But I do have some mint left, which is really nice. I was looking up a couple of recipes online on how to make some cocktails for Thanksgiving, because I don't really want to have... I'm not a fan of like drinking too much, and I found this really yummy looking blood orange mojito, and it is non-alcoholic and it looks super good. I was thinking about maybe making that, and it does call for fresh mint, so I'm really happy to see that our mint is still surviving out there. So because we are getting close to Thanksgiving, I was looking up those mocktails to have as a nice drink. But also I noticed when I was making those burritos with you guys that I really need to get some of my spice blends kind of made and restocked. So today I'm going to do a Zesty Italian seasoning. This is going to be like the one that I would add to like dressings. We are also going to top up our taco mix, and we are going to make a ranch mix also. For supper tonight, I am making a chicken broccoli casserole. Now, I thought it would be a perfect recipe to experiment making my cream of chicken soup. I'm really trying to get away from buying those condensed ones that you get at the grocery store, because they are now over $1, and it definitely starts to add up. And from what I've seen on YouTube and on Instagram, I have seen that to make a cream of mushroom soup is apparently a very easy thing to do. So today we are going to experiment and learn together. So we are going to make up a batch of cream of chicken soup. Now this is going to be a concentrated cream of chicken soup, so it's not like a big soup recipe. Because the chicken broccoli casserole calls for a equivalent to cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup. So that is on the project today. I realized when I was going to get my empty containers, like this is my ranch one, I looked at my Zesty Italian, and I actually don't need to make any of that. It's pretty topped up. I didn't use as much as I thought I had used. So we are just gonna do the taco, which I know we definitely need to get restocked, and the ranch one, because I like to use this a lot for like dips and stuff. So we are gonna get this one made up. The first thing we need to add into our bowl is half a cup of buttermilk powder. This is just stuff that I had gotten off of Azure. It's just non-instant organic buttermilk powder, and my pieces to that. That's about half a cup. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of parsley next. This is just parsley from my garden, so we may have to break it up a little bit. We're gonna add, I'm surprised, this only calls for a teaspoon of dill weed. I always thought it was more. I'm just gonna add a little bit more. We're gonna put in a tablespoon of onion powder, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. I don't know if you can tell that far away. I hope you can see. I am definitely just kind of putting more than what, I don't do exact, because as long as I'm around the ballpark of measurements, it's fine. We're gonna add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Let's just throw in a teaspoon. That looks good. And then we're gonna add in half a teaspoon of pepper. And then we're gonna put in, it calls for 2 teaspoons of chives, but I'm gonna put in 3, because it really does give it that ranch taste. Now, it also, the recipe does note here that you can add 1 to 2 teaspoons of onion flakes, depending on your taste. But because we just put in a little bit more chives, we're not gonna add the onion paste. So we're just gonna give it a stir, get it all mixed up. Kind of just crushing my parsley up a bit because it's in bigger pieces from when we pulled it out of the dehydrator. Okay guys, so that is roughly what it looks like. To use this in a dressing, I feel like you guys can't see me very well. To use this in a dressing, you are going to add 3 tablespoons of this ranch seasoning mix to half a cup of mayonnaise, half a cup of sour cream, and 3/4 cup milk. Then you're going to stir it well and then put it into the refrigerator at least 20 minutes before serving. Now that is to make the dressing, like a salad dressing. If you wanted to make a dip with it, which is going to be a little bit more thicker, you would combine 2 tablespoons of this ranch mix with half a cup of mayonnaise, half a cup of sour cream, and then add up to half a cup of milk until you reach your desired consistency. Sometimes I don't even put close to a half cup because we like a thicker ranch dip. And then this is the same situation, refrigerate 20 minutes before serving. But this is excellent. It is shelf stable because we are using that dried buttermilk powder, and it tastes perfect. I use this like anytime you would use a ranch dip, like it's perfect French fries put on top of a baked potato. This stuff is awesome. So that's why, especially being we're getting into the holiday season, I want to make sure that I kind of have this just easy to get to go and just be able to use. So that one's done. See how quick and easy it is? Like there's no reason to have to, I mean, other than the buttermilk powder might be a little bit hard to find in like a regular grocery store, but that's where like Azure comes in. And if you do live in Canada, Bulk Barn would be your option to go and check them out because they may have buttermilk powder in stock there. But anyways, let's get started on the taco one, the most important one of them all. Actually, before we get started, I'm just gonna put this in the actual container. I'm just taking the little leftover amount that we had left in here and I'm just kind of incorporating it all together. So what I was saying is that there is no reason to buy a already pre-made ranch mix that has all those yucky preservatives in it when it is literally super easy just to make your own, and it comes together in like a matter of seconds. There we go. Got her all filled back up, so it's perfect. I'm just gonna rinse this bowl out because I don't really feel like having ranch dressing mixed in with my taco seasoning. Might be good, but I don't know. Taco seasoning is next up. We are going to add to our bowl, just looking for it, 1/2 cup of salt-free chili powder. This is just the stuff that I had ordered in bulk from Azure. And it's okay if it goes over because we eat a lot of taco seasoning, so probably won't have to double it. We are gonna add 1/4 cup of tarragon. If you do not have tarragon, you can use oregano, and then probably preferred would be like a Mexican oregano in this. This is just, again, tarragon from our garden, so we're gonna have to kind of just break it up a little bit. Oh, it smells divine. I don't know why, but I just feel like tarragon has like almost like a licoricey smell to it. I love it. Taking out some of these stems. It's not always fun to discover stems when you're eating a taco. I'm also just gonna add a little bit of oregano into here. Not very much, just a touch. We're gonna put in 3 tablespoons of salt. This is why you wanna use like a salt-free chili powder, because you don't wanna have double the amount of salt. It might be a little intense. I'm gonna add my favorite ingredient, some smoked paprika. We are gonna add 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika. The next one, you can either use 1/4 cup of minced dried onion, or you can use onion powder. Because Stephen does not like the big chunky onion pieces, not even the big chunky onion pieces, but he would know if I put in like dried minced onion, it would be discovered. So we are going to use onion powder. And because onion powder is a little bit more intense than the minced garlic, I'm gonna say we're only gonna add like a couple tablespoons. I don't wanna put a full 1/4 cup in there because that's gonna be a little bit too much. So we will put in, probably just ended up putting in 1/4 cup, but we'll put in 2 tablespoons of onion powder. And then we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And then you can either add 3 tablespoons of cumin seed or 1.5 tablespoons of ground cumin. We are going to use the ground cumin, so we will put in 1.5 tablespoons. We want to add 1 tablespoon of marjoram, 2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper flakes. This one you can kind of cater to your own likes. Like if you like more spicy taco seasoning, obviously add more. If you don't like a hot seasoning, then lay back on the red pepper flakes. We're gonna use half a teaspoon of pepper. This is just plain ground black pepper. The next thing we are going to add in is something that I was actually told, I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago. The key to a really good Mexican seasoning, like tacos in particular, anything that has like a chili powder, the perfect match with a chili powder to enhance that flavoring is unsweetened cocoa powder. So I add this into my taco seasoning. I add about 2 tablespoons of this into here. I remember he told me, he just said, if you have anything with a chili flavoring to it, adding cocoa powder just enhances that flavor and makes it more enriched and more, it just makes it better. And I've just been adding cocoa powder to like a lot of my more heavily seasoned chili dishes. I just add cocoa powder in there and it just makes it taste so much better. And then as a thickener, we are going to add 2 tablespoons of arrowroot. You can also add cornstarch. This is just a thickener so that when you are making the tacos, and then you add the water to it, it's just gonna help make it like a nice thicker consistency. So I add this in. That is it. That is all I put in. Well, not all, there's a lot of things in here, but that is what I do to make my taco seasoning, and it's just delicious. Makes some pretty good tacos. So we're just gonna mix in our other stuff so that we can kind of get everything all incorporated together. There's our taco seasoning all refilled. So you can make a taco dip with this. It's kind of the same thing with the ranch dressing. You're just gonna add mayonnaise, and then you're gonna add sour cream. You're gonna add about a cup of mayonnaise, cup of sour cream, and then about 2 tablespoons of this taco seasoning. I have another taco recipe, like a taco seasoning recipe, and I was just trying to reference it to see if it would tell me what approximately is in a packet of taco seasoning, and it doesn't give me any direction. The only thing my other recipe does state that when you are making tacos, you're going to use 2 tablespoons of taco powder, like this taco seasoning, with half a cup of water. That is roughly the ratio. So it depends on how much meat you are using and how flavored you want the taco meat. But that is roughly what you are going to use: 2 tablespoons of seasoning to half cup of water. So I hope that helps a little bit. I'm excited to get started on our next project. We're going to do that cream of chicken soup. I am really hoping that it is as easy as I heard it has been to make, because if it is, that is going to be a complete game changer for me, to just be able to not have to buy that from the grocery store. Anything that I can make myself, and anything that I can make myself that's quick and easy, is such a benefit to not have to worry about what all that other junk in the food. Anyways, I really need to learn to start looking for the red light on my camera, because I just explained half of this recipe and walked you guys through it and realized that my record button wasn't even on. That is the second time that I have done that in 2 days. I don't know what is up. Anyways, so this recipe says that you can modify seasonings to depending on what you're going to use it in. Because we're using it in a broccoli casserole, the seasoning that it comes with is perfect for that. So what we are going to do is we are going to make, what we did is we are going to make this little seasoning mix here. All it is half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of parsley. So we just mix that all together. In this very small bowl here, we have 3/4 cups of flour. So we are going to add 1 tablespoon of this seasoning mix that we just made. We're gonna add that. That's pretty much 1 tablespoon. Yeah, it makes 1 tablespoon. So those measurements that I just gave you will equal to be about 1 tablespoon. So we're gonna just whisk that into this 3/4 cup of flour. Also, one thing that was cut off was what I was doing with this saucepan. So we have 2.5 cups of chicken broth and 1/2 cup of milk in this saucepan, and we are bringing it to a boil over low heat. We just have that sitting here. So then we have our flour mixture here. So to this flour mixture that we made up together, we are going to add 1 cup of milk to this, and we are going to whisk it together until a thick, like paste-like mixture is formed. This is the consistency that we have. Just a thick mixture. We have a nice boil going on now. So what we're gonna do is we are going to whisk in, we're gonna slowly whisk in this flour and milk mixture. It says to whisk on low heat continuously as the mixture simmers. It says to simmer it for another 5 to 10 minutes until it is smooth and thick. I am not even thinking I'm going to even need 5 minutes because it is already very, very thick. If you can see how thick that is, it is definitely, it's good. I'm not even gonna say that I'm gonna need 5 minutes because I don't want it to get any thicker than that. So I'm gonna take it off of the heat, and it says to let it cool down, and it says it will thicken even more as it cools. So we shut the heat off, and I am just gonna put it on the back here so that it can just cool down. So we have to let that mixture cool even more before we can even use it into our casserole. So I think what I am going to do in the meantime is finish getting my kombucha all done. I made the tea and I have to kind of get everything finished with that. And then I started a loaf of sourdough bread, but for some reason, it is really weird, and I don't know if it's like the weather, but it is a really, really wet dough, and normally it is not wet. I follow the steps exactly to the T, but for some reason it's coming out really wet, and my starter is coming out really wet also. I don't know if it's the cold weather, who knows? So I may have to redo that sourdough bread because it is really, really wet. But I think I'm actually going to go and sit down for a minute. I want to look up a couple of Thanksgiving appetizer meals, so I might go and do that while I'm waiting for that to cool down, and then I will come back and we will get that casserole all done up for supper tonight. I realized that I need to actually make mayonnaise because this recipe has mayonnaise in it, and I don't have any fresh mayonnaise. So I had to run outside quickly and go and get a couple of eggs because it needs fresh eggs to make the mayonnaise. Just adding 2 eggs to this mason jar. It's a quart-sized mason jar. I find it's easier to make it in the jar. And to this, I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of lemon juice, a heaping teaspoon of ground mustard. I said teaspoon, right? It's a teaspoon, not a tablespoon. Teaspoon of salt, and then 1/2 teaspoon of vinegar. And then we are just going to use an immersion blender, and we're just gonna quickly whip it up. So you wanna get this nice pale color. Probably, it's pretty bright because the chickens, their yolks are really orange. So now we are going to slowly mix in about 1.5 cups of, I just use this stuff. It's an extra light tasting olive oil. So we're just gonna slowly mix it in. And that is mayonnaise. It's perfect. To make homemade mayonnaise, you probably want to use the most freshest eggs that you can find. Like, I just went outside and picked these up from the chickens, but I don't know if I would necessarily recommend doing it with pasteurized store-bought eggs. I don't know how it would be, but if you can get a hold of farm fresh eggs, your own mayonnaise is delicious. The cream of chicken soup is now cooled. It's cooled enough that we can definitely use it. So we are going to get this oven preheated to 375. And we are gonna get it all assembled. We have maybe 3 cups of broccoli in here, and we are just steaming it in the microwave. I went ahead and cubed up some bread. This is just some stale sourdough bread that I had. I just cut it up into cube size pieces, like really, really small pieces. We had some chicken, I believe I made it on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I made a roasted chicken. So this is just some leftover pieces that I actually left just for this recipe. That chicken soup that we made, this amount in this saucepan is equal to 2 10.5-ounce jars. So this essentially is 2 cans of it in here. We only need 1 can for this recipe, so I am going to put half of this in the fridge. Okay, let's put the other half that we're not going to use into this jar here. Thickened up perfect. So we'll just put this in the fridge. In a bowl, we are going to add 1 can of cream of chicken soup, or in our case, we're going to add half of that mixture. That is like way more than 1 can, it seems like. I'm just going to do that much because this seems like this is way more than what 1 can would make. And I don't want it to be, oh, we'll just add it all in, I guess. What's the harm that will happen? And then to this cream of chicken soup, we are gonna add 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. Just the mayonnaise that we made today. Okay, and then we're gonna give this a quick stir. To a casserole dish, this is a little, I don't know what this measurement is. This is a 2-quart casserole dish. I'm pretty sure you should do it in a 9x13, but mine is actually dirty because I made tater tot casserole last night and we didn't eat it all, so it's in the fridge. So we're just gonna use this 2-quart one. And we're gonna take that leftover chicken that we have, and we are just going to shred it up and put it on the bottom of it. It does call for 2 medium-sized chicken breasts shredded, but we'll just, I think we've got 2 chicken breasts in here. It was a 6-pound chicken that we ended up making. Have it all shredded on the bottom here of the casserole dish. Now I used white and dark meat, so I used some parts of the leg just because I wanted to get that chicken used up. Now this recipe does state that it does have to be cooked chicken. So I don't know what it would be if you were to use raw chicken. I don't know how you would make it. So it needs to be cooked chicken. Then we're going to take our steamed broccoli and we are just going to layer it on top of this. Then we're going to take our soup and mayonnaise mixture that we made earlier, and we're just going to pour it on top of the broccoli. And now we are going to take a couple cups of shredded cheese. This is just a mixture of mozzarella and cheddar, and we are just going to sprinkle that on top of this. And then we are going to take our diced up cubes of bread, and we're just gonna lightly put them on top of this. Now I realize that this recipe does not have any salt and pepper in it, and I just clued into that now. I would maybe add some salt into your soup mixture. Actually the soup had salt, it did have a little bit of salt in it, but I would add just maybe a little bit more, so we're gonna have to salt this when we eat this, but you just want the breadcrumbs to go lightly on top. Now, another good thing that you could use on top of this is like some just boxed like stovetop stuffing. Don't make the actual stuffing, just put like the dry contents with the seasoning, and you could just layer that on top of this also. That would be good. I think that's good. I don't want too many breadcrumbs. We are just going to cover this with foil. I really do not like using tin foil on my Pyrex because it is not good for it, but I don't have a choice because, like I said, my other casserole is dirty. So I know this is not a good situation to use foil on vintage Pyrex, but I don't have an option. Okay, so we are going to put it into the oven and bake for about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Because my oven tends to cook things a little bit longer, it's not as hot as it should be, I'm going to set the timer for 60 minutes because I'm assuming that it's going to take a little bit longer than that. I'm also debating whether I wanted to put a little bit of butter on top of those breadcrumbs just to kind of loosen them up a bit, but it's okay. We'll try it that way. So I'm gonna set this for 1 hour. It's time to take supper out of the oven. Let's see what it looks like. I'm definitely thinking that I should have put some type of like butter on the breadcrumbs because they just are kind of here. Now the original recipe does call for croutons. It's definitely delicious. It definitely will be making it again. That is what it looks like out of the oven. Well, I am going to go and enjoy my supper because it is super, super yummy. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Well, we learned how to make that condensed soup mixture, and it is actually as easy as all of the videos and posts all say it is, so definitely give it a try. There is variations that you can actually do to the cream of chicken. You can add celery if you need to make like a cream of celery mix, and you can also add mushroom if you need to make a cream of mushroom mix. I hope you guys have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.